Hello, everybody. Dave Finale here with Real Estate Skill Builder, and we are here for episode 72. That's right, episode 72 of Real Estate Talk TGIF. And we all know what the TGIF stands for. Thank God it's finale. That's right. That's me, Dave Finale. Thank God it's finale. It's also Friday, so that kind of works a little bit. Today, I'm really honored to have just a wonderful, wonderful human being who's gone through a lot and has learned a lot about the things she's going to talk about today. Krisstina Wise. Krisstina, thanks for coming on. You're an author. You're a founder of so many different things having to do with real estate, money, finance, debt, all that stuff. Thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So Krisstina, let's get right into it. Like I mentioned that you were in real estate at one time, and you still are, and some other things with how your life has progressed and where you are and how you're in your passion now. So talk to us a little bit about your story and where it started and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So I'll work to keep it short, but we all have our stories, and our stories tend to be long and can certainly drag out. But my story started with growing up in a very dysfunctional, impoverished background. And I had alcoholic parents. They were very neglectful at the time, and we didn't have money. So money was something I was afraid of and ashamed of by not having any. I was a target of a lot of ridicule from a very young age because we didn't have money. I started in a trailer home, and not even a double wide, but a travel trailer in the back of somebody else's trailer. So that was my beginning. But I used to have a lot of shame around that. I wouldn't even tell anybody that's where I started, because I was so embarrassed and ashamed, once I started becoming successful and had some money. But now I like to add it as part of my story, because I was very motivated from a young age to get good at money. I wanted money because I thought the money was the answer to all of my problems from that young age. And so I was always a little bit entrepreneurial, always figured out ways to make money because that's the only way I could have money, again, from a young age, and ended up getting scholarships, put myself through college, was the first one in my family, of course, to go to college. It's not even to go to college, but even to think about college. I mean, I came from a background where you might go to trade school, but who went to college type of thing. It wasn't even in the mindset. But I somehow figured out a way to do that, got an accounting and finance degree and double major, and just wanted to rock the money thing. And then shortly thereafter, I got into this industry called real estate, really by accident, because who intentionally goes into real estate? I think so many of us found ourselves here by accident. And the great thing about real estate is that there's no ceiling to income. So it's like, holy cow, look at this. Look at how much money I'm making. And I was in my late 20s and then early 30s, and I was a $10 million producer from very quickly. And I was rolling in the money, so to speak, the income. And I thought, like, what does a poor kid do when she won the income lottery? Is I bought everything I couldn't afford as a child. And then I got the big house. I got the fancy cars. I got the lake house. I mean, I got the expensive vacations, these different things. And that appeared to work really well until the day it didn't work anymore. And then, I kind of woke up one day and found myself divorced, a single mother of two small children in a 100% commission job. And what do people do who, quote unquote, have money when they get divorced? They fight over it, and they fight over all the possessions. And that took like a year out of my life in this horrific divorce. And I woke up and realized in this place of complete existential financial despair is here I was back in my childhood with these two babies, and I was completely broke. And I had $150,000 of debt between tax liens and credit cards. And I had credit card debt I didn't even know I had because my name wasn't even on it. And so I didn't know how I was going to feed my children. And the only thing that got us through at that period of time was colleagues at work that actually pitched in. And what did they do? I mean, they paid the utility bills for 6 months. They brought over furniture and towels and filled the refrigerator. And it was so great that I had all these givers around the office, but then I was so ashamed again that I had to take charity and that I couldn't even feed my own children. And I wanted to protect them from the upbringing that I had. And here I was producing the same thing from them, a broken family, broke, financial despair, can't pay the bills, have to have people, drop off things in order to even survive. So once I had my very low moment of just feeling and crying and just being in basically a puddle on my floor, I moved out of the big house, lived in a teeny tiny duplex in a bad part of town, because that's all I could afford. And once I got over the sob part of that, I just was scratching my head and thinking, okay, how was it that I earned hundreds of thousands of dollars and I'm here completely broke? And I couldn't make sense out of it. And I just thought, all right, there's got to be more to this money game, this money, than just earning income, because I realized that there's this one big fat lie, this one big fat myth out there that says the answer to all my money problems is to make more money. And all the talk out there is how to make more money, how to make more money, how to sell more houses. And then we just get stuck in the grind of this money making game. And we're all, unless we solve this problem, one paycheck or one commission away from financial disaster. And that's that constant financial pressure of having to go produce and go produce and go produce to a place we just reach burnout for most people. So then that just sent me on this journey to want to learn this money game. Why are some people rich and they don't have money problems? They're not paycheck to paycheck or commission to commission, regardless of how much money. I was making nice checks and I still wound up in the situation. So that just sent me on this journey of wanting to get good at money, get good at business. I mean, I just read every book. I went to every mastermind. I put myself in a business discourse. It was like a decade long. And I just mastered the money and business game. Great entrepreneur, business broker, founded lots of different businesses, made money, made net worth. And that was great. That looked like it worked really well until the day that stopped working. Wow. And that was a handful of years back. And what I did is I traded my health for wealth and found myself very sick and really on my literal deathbed. And that became a new awareness for me of like, oh my gosh, that's great. I got good at this money game, but I sacrificed so much for the achievement, for the money, for the wealth, for all these things, and realized like, oh, my body is my number one asset. I need to take care of that too. And then I found myself in this realization, this paradoxical awareness of, wow, money's more important than anything. Because in my case, it saved my life. It cost me $250,000 just that year to save my life, but I had the cash and I had assets that I could sell. So it literally saved my life. I would not be here today if I hadn't established that really phenomenal skill set with money and understood if there's an emergency, I had the money, and there was, and I did. At the same time, I realized that it's not about the money. Like, I didn't care on my deathbed. I didn't care about my Range Rover. I didn't care about my house. I didn't care about my success and all those achievements and certifications and, framed things I had on my wall. I didn't care about the lake house. All I wanted was my life back and my time back, and realized how much I'd sacrificed, that everything was about some performance or getting there. And just, even though I had the money, I still lived in the churn. So that just became this moment of realizing that there's even more to this money game than just getting good at it, not just making money or building wealth. It's like, what do we do with the money? What do we do with the wealth? And so that really put me on this journey I'm now, that in 2012, before I got sick, if somebody said, Krisstina, you're going to be teaching money and teaching people the mindset and skill set of building wealth and full freedom, like life freedom, not just financial freedom, but the freedom to love your life, I'd have been saying, that's crazy. I'm never going to be out of the real estate business. I'm a real estate broker. I have the Paperless agent. I'm a real estate trainer. I'm a real estate speaker. I'm a real estate technologist. I'm a everything disruptor in real estate back in like the Inman days. That's right. I've been like, that's crazy. I'm not going to teach this money thing. And then that life event happened, and here I am with a real passion and desire to teach people the skill of money so that they can get out of the financial stress, despair, cycle, churn, commission to commission, just that constant stress, if you will. And stress kills. I mean, stress is what's really causing so much of our disease. And real estate is a tough industry if we don't, it can own us if we don't understand how to really operate our money so that we can use real estate as a means to build financial freedom. So here we are.
You just said life freedom was one of the things you just said. And then also the big fat lie and the answer to not having money was to go out and make more money. right? And it's amazing because if you really think about that, how true it really is. You know, I don't have any money. What do I got to do? Oh shit, I got to go out. I got to go make money, right? What are you going to do? So you talked about living. You talked about wealth, and your company name is WealthyWellthy. I didn't say before that you're also an author, and the name of your book, the book was Falling for Money. So tell me a little bit. You talked about how you got the money, and then I think around that book was written in 2013. I think was that when it was
14.
14. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that transition from 12 to 14 and writing that book and where the impetus came from for that.
It's funny. I've not been asked that question before. And it's a great story, I think, in that when I was coming out of, when I realized I was going to live and I was getting my health back slowly but surely and coming through that whole experience and that journey, that health journey, it was a big spiritual journey. I mean, I just learned so much about life going through trying to save my own life. But out of that, I just realized that I had something else in me, but I didn't know what it was. And I knew I had to remove myself from so much of the stress and the lifestyle that I'd created for myself. And so I sat down actually in late 2013, right at the end of, I got sick at February of 2013. And by like December, I'm starting to get my health back and realized, all right, I'm on the other, I'm over the worst and I'm on the side of recovery. So I just sat down to write a blog entry. I was a blogger at the time. So I just sat down to write a blog to the people that followed me still. You know, what I realized is even though I really led the industry and was a household name really when in the real estate industry at large, I realized I was replaced pretty quickly. Once I dropped, I got over my self-importance. Like, oh, I'm not as important as I thought I was. The industry went on just fine without me. So at the end of that, I thought, well, I'll write a blog article to the few people who have wondered why I dropped off the map out of nowhere. And then I just sat down and what I thought was going to be a blog, I kept writing and writing and writing. And I wrote for 30 days straight. I took one day off in 30 days and I was just inspired to write. I'd never thought about writing a book. I never thought I had no intention of ever writing a book. Even the story in my head is that I couldn't write a book. I'm not that type of writer, but I just kept writing. And so funny enough, the Falling for Money, the book just came out of me. It was like a muse that came and I just wrote. Next thing I know, I thought, holy cow, 30 days later, I have a book. So a lot of people find publishers and go this other way. They know they want to write a book. I wrote a book first and thought, oh my God, now what do I do?
Right.
So anyway, that was it. And that just it came to me through this muse of this book coming out of me of this is what I'm supposed to do next. My purpose is to help people get good with money and understand it's not just about the money. And here we are several years later.
So you write the book, and just as everybody knows, our history is that we've never met before, but I have seen you at Inman when you were that real estate mogul and big into the real estate business. And I've always known you were in real estate, and here it is. You've been out of real estate for a long time, but to me, I still followed you and saw a lot of the things you were doing, and enough intrigued me. I mean, look, we all know why you're on the broadcast, but we're as far as the hat's concerned. But talk about you teach money now, right? And there's so many people in the real estate industry that don't know anything about money. They know that they make it. They know that when they start making it, in my area, a couple transactions a month, that's a good buck, right? That's a good buck. But they do exactly what you said you did. The going out in the big car or the fancy car or whatever, right? So where does one have to make a transition? Or what is the most important thing that you believe that a real estate agent, when they start getting money, what they have to do? Because you said it takes going after the money is going to involve a lot of things. Did you hear me? Krisstina, can you hear me? You there? Okay, we seem to be having some difficulty here. Krisstina, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. You see. Okay, I'm gonna hold on, everybody. Just stay there.
I don't know what you mean by.
Okay, let's do this again. We're going to reload here. Okay, Krisstina, can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
good. So I went through this long diatribe asking you a question about real estate agents getting into money and making lots of money. And then they go into what you said that, that you did, but was also, if you think about it, it's really kind of typical when, they buy that fancy car or they go out a lot or, whatever it is. I mean, what should it be rather than going out and buying the lavish gifts for yourself?
Well, we don't understand how money operates.
Okay, so we can't hear you now.
Okay. Test.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Can you hear me, Christine?
I hear you.
I cannot hear you though. That's the thing. Let me see if we are on line here. Okay, we seem to have dropped. Hold on one second. And we're both here. We're both talking. Okay, so hold on one second. Can you hear me? You can't hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, good. We're there.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go forward. Okay, so my question again was, as agents start making all this money, they start spending it because they're not used to it. So is there a different route they should take, or how do we get them out of this financial turmoil that they seem to get themselves in? I think we've all done it.
Yeah, there's a couple things is with real estate in particular, but it's first to understand just normal statistics that who I work with are usually those that are earning over $150,000 a year. But it's in any industry, and a statistic is about 82% of all those that earn over $150,000 a year are still paycheck to paycheck. And that just goes to prove that the answer to all my money problems isn't to make more money. So if it's not that, then what the hell is it? And that's the question that's not being answered. And that's the question I went to answer when I was 32 and divorced at the beginning of this money learning journey. And high incomes are deceptive. And see, the thing with real estate, it can be very high income. And there's a few different places where real estate agents in particular get themselves in trouble, high income real estate agents. And it's deceptive because high incomes make us feel rich. And so when we start earning these incomes, the automatic thing that happens is to spend more. So there's something called Parkinsons Law, and it's applicable to everyone, not just the real estate industry, but the real estate industry is particularly dangerous because of a few specific reasons. But there's something called Parkinsons Law. And Parkinsons Law, this is a law. It's a universal financial law, which means it's going to happen unless you do something that keeps it from happening. And Parkinson's Law on money side is twofold. One, it says expenses will always rise to match income. And it's natural. So if we start making $50,000 a year in real estate, then our lifestyle costs $50,000 a year, meaning the house that we live in, the mortgage payment we have, the car payment we have, that type of thing. Then all of a sudden we have a record year. We double our income next year. Well, do we stay in the same house? Do we stay driving the same car? No, the lifestyle changes. The lifestyle goes up to match an income earner of $100,000. So we buy a bigger house. We buy a different emblem on the car. Maybe our clothing changes. Then maybe the next year we do really great at learning from you and others in the real estate industry that teach us how to sell more houses. So now it goes from 100 to 200. Does the lifestyles change the same? No. So that's what Parkinson's Law says, is that income will always rise to match expenses. It's just so natural. We don't even know it's happening. And because the more income we make, we feel richer. Like we have this luxury to buy more, to have more, to show more. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that if we understand how money operates. The second part of Parkinson's Law on the money side is that what was once a luxury becomes a necessity. So then we get used to these certain lifestyles. So if we have a month or a year that goes down, our lifestyle doesn't go down to match it because it doesn't feel good. We don't want to give up that lifestyle. And that's just the nature of humans in a way. We kind of, our lifestyle raises to match like a certain status or how we fit into a certain social setting. And we don't want that to change. We don't want to look bad. We don't want to give up the things we've gotten used to, conveniences or different types of expenses. So that's just, we all fall victim to Parkinson's Law if we don't know better. So if those are truths, then what do we do to not fall victim to those automatic things that are going to happen? The reason why real estate is particularly dangerous is one, it's high variability in income. So we can have a banner month when we sell 5 houses, but then we might be dry for the next 2 or 3 just by the nature of how the industry is. So we start having these banner months and then we make up for the months that we weren't. And the variability, when the variability of our expenses doesn't match the variability of our income, we will naturally overspend. And then we get ourselves in this where we're just looking for the next commission, regardless of the gross commission income, the GCI. So variable income can be very dangerous, part one. Part two is that we get used to these big checks. And so then it's just like it's an invitation to spend, when you get a $30,000 month or something without understanding it's really not $30,000. It might be $5,000 a month if you don't have any real commissions coming for the next amount of time. Right. So we have to be able to break that down on a true monthly income, how it averages out, and spend accordingly. And the way to get rich and build wealth, there's only one way to do it, assuming you don't have a trust fund or an inheritance. And anybody that's responsible for their own financial situation, present and future, there's only one way to break the cycle. You have to spend less than you make. And you have to have cash and savings. And it seems like it should be more complicated than that, but it's not. But you have to be able to manage your finances. You have to be able to move them, understand them, be very intentional, look at them, organize them. And people don't do that with their money. They make money, they spend money. They make money, they spend money. And money doesn't operate that way. If we're going to build wealth, i.e. freedom, meaning we have other money from assets as opposed just to going out and selling more houses, the only way to do that is we have to invest. We have to create that type of future passive income. Now, the great thing about real estate that, it's one of those, again, head scratchers for me now is like, we're really great at selling houses, but we're not great at buying houses. And we're in an industry where we can actually build financial freedom better than anyone else. Right. Because we have this ability. We're in the industry. We know a great deal. We know we can negotiate our commissions off prices. So there's some money built in. We can understand we're in the industry and management. So that was the thing. Like I loved selling houses. I loved having a brokerage where we sold a lot of houses at a brokerage. That was fun. I enjoyed being a broker at the time, but I had a lot more fun investing and buying my future financial freedom. And I loved the cash flow from those assets far more than I loved the commissions from my sales. And so it was shifted. At the beginning of my career, it was all about sell, commission. So I could live that lifestyle. Later in my career, it was about how do I stock up as much cash as possible to buy as much real estate as possible, because I wanted to replace my hardworking commission income with my passive cash flow income from my real estate investments. Right. So as an industry, it's looking at like, wow, how do I change that? Where I organize my spending to make sure I spend less than I make so that I'm saving a certain amount that essentially I will then use to have a goal to buy real estate. So I changed my goals from, hey, I want to sell $10 million of real estate a year. That could be great, right. But that might stay the same. But the real goal was how many investment properties could I buy per year? So the goal maybe would be buy 1 investment property per year. So that meant that I couldn't spend all my income and live this whatever income came from that $10 million a year producer. It was about how much of that GCI from that $10 million of production could I stock away and save, just earmarked to buy as much real estate as possible? So what that meant is I became comfortable living on less and keeping the cost of my lifestyle at a very fixed amount, and using the surplus of what I didn't spend to invest, one, to have that real estate passive cash flow income, as well as making sure I had savings and cash set aside so when life happens. So if we're going to build financial security, security exists in cash. It's liquidity. It means how we get out of the paycheck to paycheck, especially with variable income like real estate, is we need to have that cash fund, or what I call the save your ass fund. Right. In the sense of when during low months, if things, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I would have certain deals set up where I was going to have a banner month and, 5 sales at, with $1 million properties. And I'm like, wow, it's going to be a really great month. And out of the blue, all 5 deals would just break apart. And it's like where I thought it was going to be a banner month is one of my worst months ever. So what do you do during things like that? And that's that financial stress. It's like, oh, no big deal. I have a cash fund sitting there that I can borrow against my own cash to be able to carry me during this low month. And then the great month, I'm going to rebuild that cash fund again. So that's what financial security is. Security is having cash that helps us manage these variabilities, these highs and lows, mostly during the lows that we borrow against ourselves and we pay ourselves back. So we become our own banker. That's a concept that I teach, is to become your own bank, become your own bank. And you borrow money and pay money back to yourself. But that means you have to spend less than you make to build up those cash funds. But that's what financial security is. The security is like, I'm going to be okay, even if I have a low month or 2 or 3 or 4, because I have that amount saved in cash, liquidity. Then the other piece is the financial freedom and independence part that can only come through assets, through investing, that gets us out of this need to go sell more houses to be able to pay the bills. And over time, we have like our 2-year game, which is the cash to pay our bills today and to save and have that cash fund both to borrow during our low months, and the cash fund to invest in real estate. And then the 20-year game is the investment game, is over 20 years, over that 20-year horizon, what's my goal or plan, that how much real estate investment in the real estate industry do I need to own asset-wise that will produce the cash flow that then is going to pay the cost of my lifestyle, so that I don't have to go sell houses anymore if I don't want to. And then we can get out of the churn. We can get out of that month to month, that financial stress, because we have the cash. And now even selling real estate, like where I am now, I still love selling real estate, but I don't have to. It's more of a joy now. Like now I've got the love of being in real estate back, because now I can just go be with my clients. I can just go take care. I can be selective who I work with, right, as opposed to, oh my God, where's the next commission coming from?
Right. So you put so much stuff in just a few minutes. And one of the things was sticking out at me, one word actually was sticking out at me in what it takes to do what you do. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that word is discipline, right? You actually need the discipline to actually say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. Now, would you say that you can do this no matter how much you're making, whether it's a real little or to a lot? Because let's face it, a lot of people are going to say, well, Krisstina, I mean, you just said you're selling $1 million houses. You got to be getting these huge commission checks. What about me, Joe Blow, that's selling $200,000 houses, $300,000 houses? Is there a difference there?
Yeah. So I have this slide, for example, when I present something, and the slide says, what is your BMW costing you? So what we don't understand is the only way to build wealth is to take advantage of a money principle and law called compound interest and appreciation. So it's return on investment, and it's the compounding effect of having our money at work. So many people, when they increase their income, they go out and lease that BMW to drive around some nice clients so they look good. Yes, and what is that BMW costing you? So what you'd want to do is say that $750 lease payment, which means you'll never own the car. So you're always going to have that lease payment forever, assuming you lease cars, but just $750 a month. If we started our career at, let's say, 25 and ended it at 65, if you put that $750 away, which is a minimal amount, you'll be worth $5 million at the end of 40 years. That's about $250,000, $300,000 of cash flow income, passive income, by just putting $750 away. and you can cut that in half by 20 years. So it's just understanding by virtue of not investing those certain dollars at any income, but somebody making $50,000 a year, if they are diligent about putting a certain amount of money together for their career, their working career, and letting compound interest do the work, then they're going to have plenty of money at the end of time when they're ready to, walk away from having to, work day in and day out. And so, yes, this is applicable to any income. Now, the problem with high income earners is that many times the lower income earners, they don't get themselves as much financial trouble. But what gets us into trouble as high income earners is borrowing. So we have higher mortgages, we get more expensive car payments, we have credit cards. So it's the payments that are the killer. So I ask everybody, tally up the total of your payments every month. I would include your mortgage in it to begin with, and then do a second one where you take your mortgage out. But calculate, what are you paying each month with your car payment, your credit card payments, maybe student loan payments, your furniture payments, wherever there's a loan, i.e. a bank that you're paying interest to, calculate all those payments. And let's just say it's $1,800 a month. So the exercise, again, just go to Google and put it in a compound calculator. And if you put in $1,800 a month, let's say that's what you're paying on average, not including your mortgage on these different payments, right, then what would that be worth at the end of 20 years? Well, it'd be worth about $2 million. And so, but here's how the $2 million would break out. And high income earners, can they afford the $1,800 a month? Yeah, they're making it in payments. So instead of paying the banks that money, i.e. your credit card bank and your BMW bank and your fancy furniture bank and whatever places we're paying, out of that $2 million, your hard work would be $672,000 of the $2 million, but you're worth $2 million. $1,800 a month by times $240 months is only $672,000. So if you just save that amount, you'd only be worth $672. But by putting in the market at, let's say, a 10% interest rate, it adds up to $2 million. So where did the other $1.3 million come from? Your money working for you. So your money outperformed your hard work by 2x. So that's how you get rich. You have to take advantage of compounding. I can't earn my way to $2 million. I can't save my way to $2 million. Compound interest produced 1.3 million of the 2 million. And that's what we're giving up. And that's what people don't understand, is how compounding works. And it's the only way to get rich. You can't income or save your way to wealth. You have to invest your way to wealth. So, and that's just it, is that your money works 365 days a year, 24/7. Our bodies can't do that. That's why we get tired and broken and we're burnt out. It's like we kept trying to work hard to build, quote unquote, this idea of financial freedom that one day we can retire and be done. You're just going to be tired, done, and broke and still in the paycheck to paycheck cycle at 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever age, if you don't let compounding work for you. So that's just the lack of knowledge. So it is some discipline, but systems can be the discipline. So you have to have financial goals and financial systems, and you have to spend time with your money. You have to manage it. So the way you get rich is not how much money you make, but how well you manage the money you make. And understanding that systematically and intentionally, according to a plan, that's the way you buy and build your financial freedom. It doesn't happen by accident for most people. So that's the understanding is do I have some discipline? I do, but I follow a very specific methodology and financial system and let my system be my discipline. And I have all my money categories. Everything's earmarked. I know where I'm going to spend and what my goals are and how I move that. And so I have a healthy relationship with money. I'm with it all the time. And we have a really great connection, but every dollar has to be accounted for. We have to, if we ignore our money, if we're not intentional with it, if we put our heads in the sand, if we neglect it, we're just going to constantly be in this game of commission to commission, paycheck to paycheck. It's just the law of money. So if we're going to break that cycle, we have to do something differently. Working harder is not the answer.
So one of the things you said that I've thought about and given and help people with as years go on is, instead of putting in more time for money, put in more money for money. And like you said, make the money work for you and have it help you get out of your own way, which is what we're doing, right? And it kind of, I mean, one of the things, and one of the things I've read is from you is that you're going to bust the conventional thinking by actually doing that. And instead of, I mean, you know, people are going to want to splurge, you know, we talk about celebrating our successes. You know, I think if we do that more or less with, you know, discipline and thinking, okay, what does tomorrow look like? Should we always be looking into the future or not? Should we always be doing that?
Well, it's both. It's, you know, what I learned, even though I was good at money before I got sick, everything was about the future. So I was giving up life today to build this achievement and this future number. And I had enough, but enough was never enough. So that was my own cycle. So I finally realized that there's a good enough number, like how much money is enough. And I realized that, oh, there's an enough number where I don't have to be more, have more, do more, be more, have more, do more, be more, which is conventional with where we are today in the US. Like everything is more, like more is better. And that adds, again, a lot of pressure. So we understand that there's actually an enough number, what I call your financial freedom number. Then I could just work towards that and give myself the horizon of time to hit that number, which I have, which is nice. It makes life easier to know what that number is. But then when it comes to money, it's understanding too that I teach a concept. You spend 100% of what you make. Every paycheck. If you have a $10,000 month, you spend every dollar. If you have a $100,000 month, you spend every dollar. But it's understanding how to spend. And we don't know how to spend. We know how to earn, but we don't know how to spend. And spending, the way you look at your money, it has to be different. Monies have different purposes, and there's a language of money. And when we understand the language and we understand the different roles and purposes, then we organize and we use our money accordingly. So if you have a business and you have 5 different team members in that business, do you have all 5 team members do the same thing to hit your revenue goals of your business? Like, no, you have different team members that do have different roles to hit the revenue number. Right. If everybody did the same thing, it's like, why would you do that? But that's what we're doing. We have every dollar in our bank account really doing the same thing. So there's 5 different categories of money that with every paycheck, we need to make sure that money's allocated to that different category. So if we make $10,000, do you get to keep $10,000? No, Uncle Sam wants Uncle Sam's portion. So there's a portion of that $10,000 that's earmarked towards taxes. There's a portion that's earmarked towards investing. There's a portion that's earmarked for savings, for cash. And there's a portion that earmarked towards what I call your lifestyle expenses. So with every check, you're making sure you're divvying up your full 100%. You're going to spend it. So you're going to spend it out of your bank account that month. And that's the way to get a hold of your finances is you can't commingle your money. All different purposes need to be moved out of your main account. And that's a concept that I teach. It's a methodology so that you don't spend all of your $10,000, including Uncle Sam's money, because a lot of real estate agents find themselves in tax hell because they're not earmarking the money. You cannot spend 100% on your lifestyle. You spend it up in the 5 different categories. So $10,000 a month, you move a portion out of your main bank account and move it into your investment fund. You move a portion into your savings fund. You move a portion into your tax fund, and then you get to live off what's left over. And then happily spend all of that, 100% of that $10,000 in all those categories by moving it out. So you're spending your money and writing the check, just like if you were writing a check to, I don't know, Nordstrom, you're going to write a check to your investment account, into your lifestyle account, to your savings account, into your tax account. Then that money's $10,000 spent, but it's spent prudently according to what those categories are earmarked to spend. One of your accounts is what I call a fund. So that's your splurge fund where you have money to splurge. We're not meant to not live today just for tomorrow, but we build that in. How much is my splurge fund? What I call your luxury expenses, and spend all of that. It's earmarked for that spending, but we need our bumpers around money so that if we're spending all $10,000, our bumpers are these 5 different accounts. Like I know exactly what my allowance is to spend on fun. I know exactly what my allowance is to spend on investments. I know exactly what my allowance is to make sure I stay current with Uncle Sam. And then it can bring the joy of spending every single month. as we're spending to build our financial future, to enjoy our life today, and to make sure that we have the financial security to get out of this constant financial stress of month to month.
So just to make sure that everybody's got these 5 categories, they are tax, investment, savings, lifestyle.
And that 5th category is your income. It's really looking at your income. So everybody has an income. You're looking at all your income streams. So category 1 is income. Category 2 is taxes. Category 3 is your lifestyle expenses. Category 4 is investments. And category 5 is your cash accounts.
Okay. Cash accounts. Cool. So I wanted to get into the name of your company and have you talk about it. WealthyWellthy. And so just so everybody understands, it's wealthy, WEALTHY, and then wealthy is WELLTHY. Talk to me about that and how you're bringing health and wealth together. I believe that's what it means. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's the idea of WealthyWellthy is the whole concept is about lifestyle design. So WealthyWellthy really is a lifestyle design company that if we want a good life, we need to design and architect a good life and know what is a good life and how much does it cost to live it. So it's coming up with quantifiable numbers as far as how much do I need to make? How much do I need to save? How much do I need to invest? And how long is it going to take to hit my financial freedom number? All quantifiable, all doable. Anybody can do it. So that's what WealthyWellthy is as a company, is helping us understand to design and quantify and then build a plan to make sure we full out live a free, healthy, fun life. Now with that, we have to take care of our health. What I didn't understand, even though I was good at money and investing in that, I didn't understand that my body is my number one asset. So I have to invest in my body. And so conceptually, it's like, it's our mental, emotional, psychological, and relational health that makes the money.
Yes.
That's the why for money. So money is not about money's sake or having more of it. Money is to underwrite the cost of living a healthy, happy lifestyle, which has to be designed, architected, and quantified. And then when we're in the game of living a great life and having this plan, then we can just bring joy to everything else. But we can't sacrifice our health. So many of us, I mean, I can't tell you how many things come across my desk every single day of people that are worn out, tired, have some form or stage of disease, or they can't even get to the bottom of why they feel terrible. And it's just because our bodies are not cut out for this amount of stress and unsustainable lifestyle. So I teach this concept is that when we get good at money, we need a profit and loss statement, what I call a household P&L. And we need to understand, are we running at a profit and loss financially through our household finance every single month? And what about our health? Are we running at a profit or loss? And to be very cognizant of this and intentional, I call it conscious living as opposed to unconscious living.
Absolutely.
And then the other piece is the idea of a balance sheet. So if you don't have a balance sheet, you're probably not worth anything financially, because our true net worth wealth, meaning exists on a balance sheet. So anybody that doesn't have a balance sheet, then you don't have assets probably. If you do have some assets, you don't have a goal or any intention around the asset creation and production and accumulation. So on the balance sheet, there's the physical assets, but our body needs to be on there as well. So a portion of our investment dollars I recommend are towards making sure our body stays healthy. And some of that more in terms of pragmatic financial pieces, we need to make sure we have insurance, sometimes disability insurance. These protection pieces of our body is our number one asset, which is good financial. I mean, it's just what we need if we're paying attention to our finance, because sometimes we do get sick and out of the game. But then also, what are we investing in pieces like massage, or making sure we get our annual or biannual labs to make sure that we're putting money, investing back into our wellness, our any type of wellness, and take care of our body so our body can go out and perform and do the great things it does. So that's the whole idea of WealthyWellthy, is this really holistic life in these different categories of life. And then I teach the money piece is how to make sure that we have the resources to be able to live a full, healthy life in all these different categories.
That's fantastic. I just want to just comment on a couple of people that have been on today. We have Nicole on, Sherry, and Sekou Pyle, who is my friend, my coach, a mentor, colleague. He says, I love this. I mean, we talk about this all the time because we do work together. We see each other all the time. So we're talking about how this should work for people, right? Krisstina, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we could go on and on because I still got a whole page of questions, but we both have lots of other things to do, but this has been really awesome. Talk to me about like products and programs that you have where people, number one, can have you help them, and number two, can contact you to get more information about what we've been talking about.
Sure. So I've created a free download for anybody that's listening to you that they can get a free copy of my book. You can buy it on Amazon, but if you want a free digital copy, you can go to fallingformoney.com, and that's my first book. I'm writing my second one as we speak. And then what I do offer is that if anybody wants a 30-minute like money therapy or money coaching call, then I do that. And it's Krisstina.com/call. And that's a KRISSTINA.com/call. And then I do these 30-minute consults for those that just want some money talk, want some money coaching. Sometimes it's a nice little therapy session.
That's great. And if I can be corny, I just thought of something. I'm just going to throw it out there. That extra S in your name, that's for savings.
I love it. I love it. There you go. I might borrow that one from you.
It's yours. I know sometimes I get really corny, but anyway, thanks so much for coming on. And while I did show this before, I know this is why you came on. You heard about this. So I just want you to know that your hat will be on its way. I do expect some type of selfie or something showing me that you got it. That'll go out next week. Thank you so much for coming on. And anybody who has any questions or stuff, they can find you on your website. And you just said, Krisstina, you said Krisstina.com.
Just Krisstina.com is my website. I'm on Instagram, anything at Krisstina Wise. Okay. K and 2 S's. I'm easy to follow. So, and I follow all my social stuff, and I engage, and I've got Facebook groups. I've got millions of ways to stay connected if one wants to. I have my own podcast where I teach a lot of money on my WealthyWellthy podcast. And again, anybody that is interested and wants to listen in on to what I teach, I'm easy to find.
Krisstina, thank you so much for coming on. Look forward to seeing you someday and meeting you in person and talking. But this has been really, really valuable for this because, we can talk real estate and how to generate leads and how to convert stuff. But you know what? One of the things that lacks, I think, in our society is helping people not only make money, but keep money. You don't see it in any schools. You don't see it anywhere. And if we can continue to do stuff like this, I believe we can help more people. Thank you, Gail. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week on Real Estate Talk TGIF. Take care.